Hey, Nick from After the Call there. Today's video is brought to you by Scout Boy. He's around here somewhere whining, and I don't exactly know why. So, what I wanted to talk to you about is kind of riding on the coattails of last week's video. But what I want to talk to you about is something that I like to call treating the cold and not the cough, right? And I hear about this all of the time, and maybe we all fall victim to this eventually. We want to get treatment for what is outwardly happening right now. And people come into my office and they say, help me with my anger, right? They go to anger management, they can't figure it out, or I can't stop crying all the time. And it's to anything, any little blip, anything that just puts me a little bit over the edge, right? And it's like, oh, help me with this, help me manage my sadness, help me manage my anger. And, it's interesting because rarely is the crying, rarely is the anger the actual issue, right? So let me put it to you this way. You go to the doctor's office and you're riddled with just like grossness. You got something coming out of here and no air coming out of either of these holes, and you're coughing and your lungs are full and you can't sleep, and your head hurts and you're aching, and if you're a man it's worse, and that's research backed, by the way. Man, cold, real thing. So you go to the doctor's office and you get medication for that stuff that's happening, right? You get it to treat those things. You want the symptoms gone because the cold doesn't bother you. Right? If you think about that, the cold itself isn't actually the thing you want treated. You want, I just want to be able to breathe out both nostrils, just not one or the other, depending on what side of my head I'm laying on. And I just don't want to be coughing anymore. I could sleep if I just couldn't cough, right? And when you look at it, you're treating the symptoms, right? Because the cold will solve itself. Rarely, however, in therapy will our emotions solve themselves, and many of you have probably already taken this trip or at least know what I'm talking about. So second example, a thought experiment to try and really give you the idea of what a primary versus secondary emotion is, right? The primary is the cold, the secondary is the cough, right? We want to treat the cold and not the cough. So you're driving in your car, somebody cuts you off, right? You get angry, or at least I do, and I come up with these creative, elaborate, saw-like ways to get back at them in fantasy land, and it takes me down some dark paths, right? Uh, but that anger that's driving that is probably not the first emotion, right? The first emotion is probably fear. So you might be surprised by this, but really, they're driving a 3,000-pound missile, you're driving a 3,000-pound missile, and you almost collided, right? There's a bit of that fear. It's like, wow, you almost hurt me. That's a threat. But I can't show fear, so I show anger, right? And our primary emotions get masked like that all of the time. Anger is a great one. Anger is a fantastic one that we use all of the time. But sometimes we'll use crying, and sometimes we'll use other things, right? And I'm going to do a follow-up video on something that you probably would be really upset with me, because I'm going to call you out on all your tactics and tricks that you use in your life to avoid emotions, right? We call them emotional driven behaviors, aka avoidance and psychobabble, right? But anyways, back to what we're getting at, right? And so people come in and they want these treated. But what's wrong with that is that if I continue to treat their cough, the symptoms are just going to change. And usually they change from session to session, right? Not just week to week, but session to session, right? It's anger one day, then it's sadness, then it's overwhelmed. Overwhelmed, a fantastic one, right? Overwhelmed. What does that even mean? Well, overwhelmed is just a collection of emotions, and you don't know which one you're feeling strongest, so you're overwhelmed, and it's scary, right? And anger you can feel, right? Anger you're allowed to feel. I can feel angry. I know what to do with angry. Slam cupboard doors or throw dishes or kick the dog. I know what to do with anger, right? But what do you do with shame? What do you do with embarrassment? What do you do with disgust? Especially if that's inward. What do you do with that? Unfortunately, you have to look at that and recognize it. And the moment you look at it is both the scariest and also sometimes the most relieving space you can be in. And if this is not safe for you to do on your own, this is when I would say find somebody that can help you down that road. Maybe they need to give you more tools. Maybe you're not ready. And this certainly isn't video therapy, but just something to ponder. Remember, when you want to go through this recovery process, you want to do it right. It's already hard enough. It's already hard enough. It's already scary enough. But we got to recognize when anger is getting in the way, right? When that secondary emotion comes in and it just covers that primary emotion. And it's like an onion sometimes, and it's fast. It's very fast. So, check in with yourself. I feel angry in this moment, but do I know why? You might be surprised, right? Maybe you're upset, maybe you're frustrated, maybe you're let down. So that's it for me today. Primary and secondary emotions, very important. It's not really, a tool per se, but it is because it is a reflection that you can do. And it's going to build on what we talk about next time when I get to have the fun calling you out on all your tricks, right? Anyways, Nick from After the Call. Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.